So I found a website. I was researching wolves more. I found this website for a group in Minnesota that caught, collared, and tracked wolves. They do it that order, otherwise it doesn't work. They'd never met a wolf they didn't like to catch, collar, and track. And the best thing about this is they have a long list of all the ways that their collared wolves had met their ends. So some of them were quite normal ways for wolves to die. They starved, exposed to the elements, run over by trucks, shot by farmers, killed by other wolves. My favorite was gored by moose. And the one that changed my life for a long time, since I can't use the word forever in casual conversation anymore, was a wolf that had fallen into a sinkhole, was unable to crawl out of it again, and so drowned in the mud at the bottom.
That's so...
And so my first thought was, what a horrible way to die. Immediately followed by, readers are gonna cry so much. So I was off and running. I wrote forever just for me. It was delightful, it was wonderful, and I got to do lots more research for wolves, which I enjoyed. That is one of the best things about this series, actually, is that I've got to do a lot of research for wolves. When I was on a world tour for my book in Hungary, which I never get tired of saying that. It's kind of like parking the Camaro on the sidewalk. It's just, world tour, park on the sidewalk. When I was on tour in Hungary, my Hungarian publishers took me to a little place outside of Budapest where a man trained wolves for Hollywood movies. How many of you have seen Blood and Chocolate? I met those wolves. So they said, you can meet these wolves face to face, but you'll have to wear appropriate apparel. I'm thinking, well, Hungary is kind of a strange place. What exactly is appropriate apparel? Are we talking those padded arm things for like training German shepherds, or are we talking leather bikini? Turns out it was just rain boots and 2 rain coats because it was really muddy. So I get there and I'm met by Zoltan, the very dashing wolfman, and he goes, and there's dozens of wolves there in 3 different packs. He goes to the enclosure and he opens it up just as much. He's holding his foot in there so they don't get out, and then he throws me in. And as I go sailing through the air, he says, when they bite your hands, it's their way of saying hello. They all wanted to say hello. And they were nothing like dogs. They all had this really pronounced pack behavior. They were growling over the privilege of who got to bite my hands. There's a definite alpha and all of that. It was very awesome. I got completely covered in mud and wolf slobber, and so after about 25 minutes, when we kind of reached equilibrium, I'm sitting on a little wood thing in the middle, and next to me is the wolf who has won the privilege to sit next to me on the wood thing. He's my new best friend. We've already been quite intimate. He has had his tongue in my mouth several times. I would not recommend it. He's very gritty. I don't know what else he ain't putting his tongue on. Anyway, so we're quite fond of each other. I was in love with him. I wouldn't run away with him. No one really runs away with wolves. Ask Jacob Black. But so we're sitting there with this wolf, and Zoltan comes up right in front of me. Have you ever heard a wolf howl up close? Of course, I'm from suburbs of Virginia. We hear wolves howling. No, I have not heard a wolf howl up close. So at that point, he tips his head back and goes, and I'm kind of staring at him because I've never really heard a man howl up close either. But beside me, my new best friend goes, and Zoltan tips his head back again, and my new best friend tips his head back, and he begins to howl as well. And then another wolf begins to howl. And then all of the wolves everywhere around us begin to howl. And they're nothing like dogs howling. They just pick one pure note each and harmonize together so it sounds like singing. And so I'm sitting there and I'm feeling quite comfortable and, not afraid, because if they were going to eat me, they had 15 minutes to do it already. And also, if the Hungarian publishers really thought that I was going to be eaten by wolves, they surely would have put me in with the wolves at the end of the tour, not the beginning. So I'm not afraid at all, but still, even being totally unafraid, sitting there with wolves howling all around me, I feel the hairs on my arm and on the back of my neck stand up, as something deep and primeval inside me says, Stiefvater, you're going to die. And that has been the most amazing part about putting wolves in these books, because I can't think of any other animal that inspires that kind of awe and terror, that beauty and fear. It sounds so much like a human right next to you, but being so far away. Also, without the wolves in the books, it's just about a boy who reads a lot of German poetry and is kind of emo all the time. So.
You have a question? Yeah, I do.
Can I have a ride in your Camaro?
This would be a very short answer, no. You can look at it.
Can I sit in it?
No. You can look at it.
Touch it?
Okay, sure. Yes.
Were you an emo kid? Because my English teacher keeps feeding us these essays that are all about how authors and their books, lives, don't have connections.
I'm old. So we didn't have emo when I was growing up. I'm emo on the inside. I'm done. And now, I don't look old, but thank you. It's because I stole a younger woman's, or an older, yeah. I stole a younger woman's body. We're going to go with that. We're going to give away a guitar now because I have lost the power of language. And if you have any other questions, you can ask me as I'm signing your book. Oh, and you're welcome to take pictures with me when you're up here. I just ask again that you turn the flashes off, because if I get a whole bunch of them in a row, it makes me turn into a wolf. So thanks. Okay, the winner of the Sharpie guitar is Danica Brisson.
No clue who she's talking to.
You're welcome.